One other thing I really want to talk about is the hypocrisy of these, shall we say, wackadoodles, these right wing reactionaries who have, for the last few months, regurgitated the same talking point regarding Chick-fil-A and everything else, that people have a right to freedom of speech and religion. Freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what we're talking about, is it? No, it isn't. Because they don't really care about freedom of speech. You see, social conservatives are about control. I come to know that. They have a weird theocratic theology. And it's all originating from the South. Southern Dixiecrat, Scottish Freemasonry, that's where you get all that stupid nonsense from. But the ideology, the agenda behind this is to control the population. And the way that you do that is by controlling the family structure. You have to really pay attention to what these stupid fucks really say. You have to really just open your ears. Because most of the time, the things that they're talking about are actually true, but as I always say, those who are pushing really hard for something is because they want the opposite. And they've always been these religious right-wingers, they've been pawns. They've always been pawns for the political elite, for the controllers and the bankers of this country. And they've been used to distract the American people to see how far we can go with actually enacting a dictatorship on this country, whether liberal, so-called leftist, or whether reactionary or so-called right-wing. But they're both destructive, obviously. But the religious right is really the most dangerous part of this, because they are so naive and so brainwashed with their theology and their dogma that they don't see the entire picture of what's happening to them and to this country. And I really hate it. I really do. But hey, they believe in free speech. That's what they say, right? Yeah, that's what they say. Bullshit. They don't believe in full and freedom of speech or religion or any of that bullshit. They don't. And I don't believe in freedom of religion or religious liberty. There is no such thing as that stupid nonsense. Where'd you get that from? Constitution. The Constitution offered us the opportunity to worship as we wish. To worship as we wish. Religious liberty or freedom of religion is a whole different thing. You're talking about the freedom of a religion, not the freedom of a person. You get that? Because what these right-wing reactionaries, most of them helped by the Mormon elite and by the Vatican operatives, the Vatican has the audacity to tell all of its lay people that, no, you cannot believe in gay marriage. You are going to have to say that homosexuality is wrong and evil. That's what they believe. The higher-ups of the Vatican Church. And they're trying to impose this type of religious theology upon its worshiping lay. Now, the lay people, the people who follow the Catholic faith, each person, this is the good part about Catholicism in America, is that each Catholic has developed their own sense of what it means to be a worshiping Catholic. It's not like in Islam where every Muslim thinks the same. If you want religious liberty, go to Saudi Arabia. That's religious freedom right there, because the religion has the freedom to do whatever the hell it wants. Look what it's doing now. It's executing homosexuals, persecuting Christians, persecuting women and all that, killing little children and innocent people. Yeah, I mean, that's religious liberty. The liberty of religion to do whatever the fuck it wants. No. We're talking about the freedom of worship. The freedom for individuals to worship as they wish. That is the difference. If the Catholic Church comes down and says, you know what, all of you Catholics here, this diocese, all of you have to agree that gay marriage is unbiblical. That is not religious freedom, because you are imposing a religious belief on a person. Whether it's done by a religion, by a church, or by a group, it's still the same thing. You are infringing upon the First Amendment right of an individual. How about that? But these operatives, these fanatics of the religious right, who are all about dogma, systematic bullying, hatred, of course, all of it, they're hypocrites. They cannot stand when you call out their hypocrisy. They can't. So here we have, look, I'm going to show you an example right here. I have a news article here from Washington State. And it's very interesting. Let me get it up on my screen here. Listen to this. Capitol Hill building owners donate $20,000 to anti-gay marriage group. And you might be saying, well, what's wrong with that? Listen to what happens afterwards. After allegedly attempting to stop a pro-gay marriage fundraiser from taking place in the apartment building. I'm just going to read this article, and I'm going to just let you listen to this and think of what I'm saying here, of what I just said. A property company that owns a slew of condo and apartment buildings on gay-friendly Capitol Hill has donated thousands of dollars to Preserve Marriage Washington, the campaign battling gay marriage in our state, Washington State, after allegedly trying to prevent two tenants from hosting a pro-gay marriage fundraiser in the courtyard of one of its apartment buildings. Now, stop right there. I know some of you so-called libertarians and right-wing reactionaries are going to say, but it's their property. They can do whatever they want with it. Well, if that is true, then why not be a slumlord? I mean, that's where slumlords, that notion that you're saying that people have a right to do whatever they want on their properties, that's where we get slumlords. People who live in these conditions by slumlords have a less life expectancy, higher stress and anxiety. They get frequently sick because the apartment is not up to code. You have cockroaches and rats running the place. It's hazardous to have an unclean apartment living space. But yet, we have codes and we have laws in various states in which the landlord doesn't have all the freedom to do whatever he wants on a piece of property if you're going to rent it. Sure, you can kick out everybody and just leave it empty and do whatever the hell you want. But when you rent it out, it's different. And you might say, Jose, but he has a right not to have a gay marriage. Fine. He has the right to ban the gay marriage fundraiser. Okay, good. But hear me out. I thought you guys were all about freedom of speech. I thought you guys were like, when that whole Chick-fil-A fiasco came out, you were the first ones that were saying, hey, Dan Cathy, he has every right to say whatever the hell he wants. You don't have any right to stop him. Freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. Fine. Then what happened to these people's freedom of speech? Oh, I know what you're going to come up with. The property rights gig, right? All right. In that case, let me go ahead and show you this article. Let me go ahead and bring it up to my screen here. Maryland. This is in Maryland now. Let me go ahead and pop that into my screen. There we go. Remember when Maryland was passing gay marriage, and there was this black minister by the name of Delegate Emmett Burns? Emmett Burns. Well, now this little toad is telling a Ravens NFL linebacker to shut up because the linebacker supports gay marriage. Now, the linebacker he's not on Mr. Burns' property, so you cannot really, all of you libertarians and libertards, you cannot really then subscribe to that notion, right? Can you? Huh. Oh, are you going to say, well, wait a minute, he's wearing his uniform and that's property of the... shut up. And listen to this, assholes. Baltimore Ravens linebacker Brandon Ayanbadejo. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. Ayanbadejo supports gay marriage. He has written about the issue for the Huffington Post, and late last year, he made a video for the organization Marylanders for Marriage Equality, laying out his support. Join me, he said. It's the right thing to do. Maryland Delegate Emmett C. Burns, Jr. does not agree. After Ayanbadejo recently offered 2 tickets to the home opener for a Marylanders for Marriage Equality fundraiser, Burns sent a letter to Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti saying he found it inconceivable that a player would support gay marriage. Yeah, these are the same people who are saying, oh, wait a minute, Chick-fil-A has a right to say that they're opposed to gay people or gay rights and whatever. They have every right to do so. But oh no, if you are a linebacker, you don't have that right. And what have I said on this show many times? Sure, Dan Cathy has every right to say whatever the fuck he wants. But then, do we have a right to call him out on all his bullshit and the fact that he donated money to this group that wanted us to be exported from the country? Can we call him out on that without being called Hitler or Nazis? I mean, a real Hitler or a real Nazi would want you to shut up and censor you, right? Like this guy is doing. This is what he wrote on the stupid letter. Quote, many of my constituents on your football supporters are appalled, and he doesn't even name them, and aghast that a member of the Ravens football team would step into this controversial divide and try to sway public opinion one way or the other. And remember, this guy, Burns, he is an operative for the National Organization for Marriage. So when I read this is basically Nom speak. This is from the Nom headquarters, from the Mormon-led organization. Basically saying that we want neutrality, but yet if you speak for gay marriage, boom, shut up. That's neutrality, right? Or actually what they've done, and of course the biggest example is Chick-fil-A. If the Mormon-led National Organization for Marriage was demanding that people not be involved in this issue, stay neutral, corporate neutrality is what they were claiming, but yet Chick-fil-A had the audacity to enter and say what they said, and they were like, let's support Chick-fil-A, let's have a Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day. And I thought you guys were about neutrality. Anyways, this delegate continues to write on this stupid letter. Many of your fans are opposed to such a view and feel it has no place in a sport that is strictly for pride, entertainment, and excitement. Oh, it's for bullshit, but alright, whatever. Burns, founder and pastor of Rising Sun First Baptist Church, has been a frequent and high-profile critic of gay marriage. And now he's a Nazi. That's what he is. He's a anti-free speech, anti-First Amendment Nazi. Imagine if a gay guy a homo, let's say that Joe Jervis or Dan Savage or somebody of that caliber. Well, they're not really that high of caliber. Let's say somebody higher than that. Let's say Ricky Martin writes a letter like this to Chick-fil-A and say, "You have no right to say this. Oh God, we will be burned to a crisp by these people." But they do it, and it's okay, right? Well, anyway, it seems to me that this delegate got a lot of heat from trying to impose Sharia law on this linebacker, and now he has retracted his statement. Whatever, he's a Nazi anyway. I mean, he sounded like a slave owner, basically. Imagine that, a black guy sounding like a old-fashioned Confederate slave owner. Wow. Pathetic.